This is the first of the webinars that we're doing for this Mental Health Awareness Week, and we are recording the videos, the talks, so that we can share these talks with other groups and anybody who's not able to get here. So welcome, thank you for joining us. As I say, it's the first of a series this week, and the first time we've done this at Gloucester Samaritans, so we're hoping it's all going to go well. We expect the presentation to last for about 20-25 minutes, and then there'll be questions at the end. Okay, so my role is a sort of host, so I won't be saying very much. Vicky and Janet are going to talk us through the presentation, and at the end then we'll all come back together again and answer your questions, as I say. Okay, over to Vicky. Thank you, Vicky.
Hello, everybody. This evening we're going to be talking about Samaritans, who we are and what we do, why we're here. We're going to be talking about our callers, the reasons to talk to Samaritans, the impact that the Samaritans line has, and why people call Samaritans. First of all, I'd like to tell you a little bit about how Samaritans began. The gentleman you can see on the screen is our founder, Chad Vara. At the age of 25, Chad Vara was an assistant curate in Lincoln, and he found himself conducting a funeral of a 14-year-old girl who'd taken her own life, as she feared she had a disease that she couldn't talk to anyone about. After that, Chad vowed to help people who were in despair and distress and were suicidal and had no one to turn to. And in 1953, he became the rector at St. Stephen's in Walbrook in London, where his aim was to befriend the suicidal. He decided that he would have people come into the church to talk to him. And he asked his parishioners if they would come in and make cups of tea while the people were waiting to see him. And then he realised that actually these people were actually talking to the parishioners while they were waiting to see him. And he thought, actually, it didn't just need to be him that people could come and talk to. They could talk to anybody. And that was basically where Samaritans began. Over to you, Janet.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Samaritans, who are we? There are 201 UK branches which are run by trained volunteers. As volunteers, we're ordinary people from different backgrounds with one common goal, to be there for our callers. We give callers our time and attention freely. We are not paid. We're not professionals and do not offer counselling, but we direct callers to other services if it becomes apparent it is the right thing to do. We all undergo an intensive training programme, which is valued highly outside of Samaritans. You may have seen at the end of the credits on a TV programme, which had contained distressing content, the Samaritans phone number for anyone who has been affected by the programme. By the time a volunteer has completed their training, they are able to listen closely by giving their whole attention to the caller they are supporting, checking they have understood by summarising what they've been said. Communicating warmth through their tone of voice, writing and body language. Appreciating how people feel rather than how the volunteer would feel in their situation. Asking gentle, open questions, help people explore their thoughts and feelings in depth. Samaritans, what we do. We're always available around the clock every day of the year for anyone who needs us. Through the commitment of individual volunteers, we're able to provide emotional support 24 hours a day by phone, email, letter and face-to-face. We do not only sit and listen, we also take support into our communities to the schools, workplace, railways, hospital and festivals to reach people where they need us. We also work in partnership with others to improve support for vulnerable groups so fewer people will die by suicide. We use our expertise to try and influence the governments, the media and other agencies into taking action to reduce suicides. We listen to the callers, exploring their feelings, alleviate distress, and help callers to reach a better understanding of their situation and the options open to them. Confidentiality is very important to our callers. It makes them feel safe, and in turn they are more likely to be open about their feelings. Volunteers are non-judgmental. We want callers to be able to talk to us without fear or prejudice or rejection. We believe that callers have the right to find their own solution, and telling people what to do takes responsibility away from them. Giving callers undivided attention and empathy meets a fundamental emotional need and reduces distress and despair. Samaritan service at a glance. It is free to call us on 116 123. We are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We respond to calls for help every 7 seconds. Our volunteers spend over 1 million hours a year responding to calls for help. There are more than 20,000 Samaritan volunteers. In 1 year, we reached over 1.2 million people through our work in the communities. Last but not least, we have 201 branches. Why what we do matters. The following are suicide statistics of 2018. Tragically, for some, suicides can seem like the only option. In 2018, 6,859 people in the UK and the Republic of Northern Ireland took their own life. Suicide is the biggest killer for men under 50. Men are higher risk than women, and up to 3/4 of all deaths by suicide in the UK. 4 in 5 by suicide in the Republic of Northern Ireland. Suicide is also tragically the biggest killer of young people aged 16 to 24. Suicide is complex, and behind these statistics are 6,859 individuals, each with their own unique story. Every suicide has a devastating impact on the person's family, friends, colleague, and community. Suicide is not equal. If you are less well-off male, you are 10 times likely to die by suicide than the more well-off male. Over to Vicky.
Thank you. The Samaritans' vision is that fewer people die by suicide. And one way of working towards that vision is that we share our knowledge and our experience and our research with people in our community so that they can become part of our informal caring team, and who we hope can spot when someone needs our care, when someone's not coping well. They can listen well and see if that person feels able to share their problems with them, and that they can ask that person how they're feeling in a meaningful way. And they can understand why talking about our feelings is so important. Sometimes it's difficult to talk to those closest to you, to our friends, our family, our colleagues. Sometimes we don't want to feel as if we're a burden for a variety of reasons, and it can take a great deal of courage to open up to someone about our feelings, to open up to anyone. And that's where we come in. Our callers can talk to us about anything that's troubling them. They don't have to be suicidal to call Samaritans. In fact, most of our callers are not suicidal, but they are struggling to open up and unable to cope in other ways. Over to you, Janet.
Air callers. There is no typical person who contacts us and no typical problem that people talk to us about. This is where we come in. Callers can talk to Samaritans about anything that is troubling them, knowing it will stay between us. On any given day, any one of us might need to talk about a problem we are struggling to cope with. Samaritans are here for everyone of any age. 78% of calls are from callers who do not have suicidal feelings. Samaritans want all potential callers to understand that our service is here for anyone who is struggling to cope. It is acknowledged that to help reduce suicide, we must reach out to people earlier. Vicky.
Thank you. There are many reasons to talk. There are many reasons why someone might need to call Samaritans. It could be loneliness, depression, a problem or a fear, a financial worry, or the loss of a pet or a loved one. And these are just a few of the things that our callers talk to us about. But it can be anything that's causing those people distress or that troubles them or burdens them. Talking through things can help get that worry out of their head. It gives them a chance to look at things in a different way, to explore or consider what different ways of coping. And it helps to share. And it helps to make you feel less lonely or alone. Many of our callers just want to be listened to without judgment and in confidence, and to feel they're being understood. Talking helps to sort through our feelings and can help put a problem in perspective. Over to you, Janet.
Impact of Samaritans Helpline, Callers Outcome Study of November 2020. How does calling Samaritans help people? For all callers, on average, there was a significant reduction in the level of distress from start to the end of a call, and from the start of a call to 1 week later. Most callers felt their call helped them manage their own level of despair and distress and suicidal thoughts or feelings. A week after calling Samaritans, 7 out of 10 callers said they were feeling better and that their call had contributed this. Over to Vicky.
Okay. Most of our callers say Samaritans help them by being listened to. They help them to see their options and help them feel more able to make their own decisions and their own choices. It gave them more hope for the future and feelings of being more able to cope with their everyday life. They also said they felt calmer and less lonely. Almost all our callers said they had the volunteers' undivided attention throughout their call and were treated with respect, dignity, care and compassion. They were confident their conversations would remain confidential between them and Samaritans, which helped them speak openly about how they felt. Just a quote from a caller. With Samaritans, they make you feel like just at that moment, you are the most important thing. Over to you, Janet.
Finally, why call Samaritans? We are always available day or night. We will listen and let you offload after a tough day. Help you talk about difficult or painful events or feelings. Help you to find your own way forward, or just to let off steam to regain composure. We are all well trained and not easily shocked. Your call will be taken from anywhere around the UK. We're not family or work or friends, so no comeback. Wherever you are, shares remains confidential. You do not need to be feeling suicidal. We are here for anyone having a tough time. Vicky.
Thank you. So remember, you can call Samaritans day or night, 365 days a year on 116123. It's free. You can email joe@samaritans.org. You can write a letter, free post Samaritans. Or once restrictions are lifted, you can go find your nearest branch and go in and see a Samaritan face to face and talk to them. But also, if you'd like to make use of our self-help app, which has free online resources, selfhelp.samaritans.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, Janet. And that is our bite-sized talk for Monday. So somebody's saying you do not do you not have an instant messaging service as well? We shall do. Some of the branches around the UK already do have an instant messaging service, and at Gloucester we're working towards that. We hope to have it up and running very shortly. So thank you for that question. There will be one before too long. Becky. Thank you too, Becky. It was lovely to have you with us. Thank you. So Lynn is asking, do you record notes for each caller? Oh, I'm happy to answer that, but maybe Vicky and Janet can chip in.
Sorry, go on, Jane.
Every caller that we speak with, it's entirely anonymous. We're not able to identify you through a phone number or through an email address. We take notes, but only for our help, to help us in the conversation whilst we're talking with you. The only thing that gets recorded is pure factual data, like rough age, male or female, the type of call, so the nature of the call, but no details unless somebody gives us personal information because they need us to take help or to source help for them. So essentially, no, we don't take notes. It's just pure data that's recorded. Is that what you would say, Vicky and Janet?
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's just sometimes easier for us to take notes during a call to help follow a call, because sometimes if a call is quite long, we like to keep the thread of the call going. If somebody's told us something at the beginning of the call, it might be a name or just a little bit about their history, that we want to follow that. So we just make notes, and those notes get put through the shredder at the end of every shift. So nothing's kept on file. So it is completely confidential.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So Sarah's asking, no, you didn't have to be suicidal. No, that was a point that we wanted to make quite clear, because it's one of the myths about Samaritans is that you need to be having actively suicidal feelings to call us. But we would much rather people call before they get to that point, before they're in crisis, whilst they're still open to thinking through other options. And so, yeah, if you're struggling, as we've said earlier on, struggling with anything, feeling you're not able to cope, then please do ring. Don't leave it until you do feel suicidal. What sort of training do we go through? Do you want to answer that, Vicky? You're on the training team.
Not on training anymore. I'm on embedding.
Right.
Obviously, all the training at the moment is done online. I think there's about 8 sessions. It is quite thorough training. It's nationwide. So whatever training you do for Samaritans, it's the same whichever branch you go to work in. You do so many sessions. As I say, they are online at the moment, but once the branch is open, they will be in branch. Then once you've done your initial training, it used to be called Samaritans Initial Training, but it's called Core now. Then you start to actively take calls with a mentor who stays with you for your first 6 shifts, so you're not left completely on your own. And then you take on another 4 sessions, one every 6 weeks, which is called embedding, which is what myself and my colleague Amanda do. Again, online at the moment through Zoom. But it's something that it's more about sort of making sure see how things are going, that sort of thing. So I think there's probably information on our website, but the training was very, very thorough. There's not a lot you don't know once you finish training.
You also have practice sessions, don't we? So we take 10 calls, role plays, yes, which is quite scary.
Practice.
Yes, but by the time you've done that a few times, it's remarkable how much it helps when you start taking actual calls. And you also have a mentor with you through the training, and then for the first 6 shifts that you do, so you've got somebody holding your hand and supporting you until you feel confident to manage on your own. And there's follow-up training, isn't there? After you've done 26 shifts, something like that, you have follow-up training.
And there's training, and there's ongoing training as well throughout your life as a Samaritan. There's lots of catch-up things. If people aren't sure about things, there's always little meetings going on where you can refresh things. So It is. It's very, very thorough, the training.
So there's a question from Frankie. What do you do if someone is in crisis? Am I right in thinking you can't call for help? That's one question. She's sent 3 questions. So that's the first one. What do we do if somebody's in crisis? Janet, Vicky?
Yes, we're there for everybody, whatever their problem is. If somebody's in crisis, then yes, that's the sort of people that would be ringing us. And hopefully, through talking their problems through, they might find an answer. They do use, a lot of our callers do use other branches like mental health, in the doctors, in other places out there, and we're able to signpost them to different organisations as well.
And I think unless somebody gives us specific information, we can't actively help them by calling an ambulance or calling someone for them, because the confidentiality within Samaritans. It's if they specifically give us their details, their name, their phone number, their address, then we can help them from then on in. But I must say, I think Janet and Jane will probably agree, the majority of our calls are anonymous. Yeah. It's not very often we get that information given to us.
No.
But we hope with the people that are at that point, they are in crisis, that as Janet said, we can signpost them, but hopefully by listening to them and helping them talk through their options, they will be able to find an answer.
Thank you. So the next question Frankie asks is, how do you cope as staff? Do you have supervision and debriefs? I can answer that one. When I joined Samaritans, I felt like I was joining a really supportive family. So the levels of support that we have are quite well laid out. So first of all, as a new Samaritan, you have your mentor for the first 6 shifts, as I said. But that mentor is always with you. I still have a weekly chat with my mentor years on, for example. So that's the first line of support. The next line of support is your shift partner. So you always have, there are always 2 of you working at the same time. And if you have a difficult call, like, for example, if the call you're taking is somebody who is feeling actively suicidal and it's a very difficult call, your shift partner, you will alert them, they will close down their call and they will be there for you. And they will be there with you, supporting you through any really difficult calls, just with a hand on your shoulder, making suggestions, making a cup of tea, whatever it is that you need. So that's and you would talk through any issues in between each call if something has troubled you or if it was difficult. At the end of every shift, you then offload to the leader on duty. So you talk through the different calls that you've had and what issues were raised. And again, that's another level of support, just offloading, getting it out from your system before you go home. Finally, if you've taken one of those really difficult calls, like a suicide in progress, for example, your leader may ring you, may email you every evening, every day for a week until you're feeling okay about it, because of course it affects us. And by offloading and talking about it, we feel really supported and we can then move on ourselves. So it feels a very strongly supported role, and it needs to be, because sometimes it can be quite difficult calls to take. Anything that you guys would like to add to that?
No, I think that covers the support, and it does work, doesn't it? The system that we've got in place, the network we've got in place. As Jane said, you talk to the leader at the end of every shift, but you can talk to any Samaritan and talk to your shift partner again the next day, or you can ring the leader again the next day, or your mentor, or the people you trained with, or just somebody you've done the shift with a few weeks ago. There's always support there for us, because if we're not in the right place, we can't offer the help to our callers.
So Frankie's final question is one that I'm not sure I can answer. Have we considered offering Zoom or video calls for callers who were prepared to see us. I'm not sure whether we have. People who would prefer to see us and who can come in to our centre when there's no COVID restriction. We have a special face-to-face room so people can call without an appointment and talk with one of us there. But whether we've thought about Zooms, I don't think so, because it probably would not have the same confidentiality. I don't that we're doing that.
I don't think it would, not within the centre. I don't think if you've got someone on the phone and you've got a Zoom call going on, you wouldn't have the same confidentiality, would you? Maybe that central office has had that conversation, I don't know.
I'm not aware of her, no.
So I think a lot of callers like to be anonymous. They don't want us to know who they are, exactly. And they don't need to know, we don't need to know their names, and they don't give us their names, so yes.
So 3 really interesting questions. Thank you, Frankie. So then the next question from Josie is, do we normally work in centres, and have we been able to work from home during COVID?
No, we can't. Because of the confidentiality, we can't work from home. We've worked all the way through from the beginning of lockdown. We're classed as key workers because we are, we're there. We need to be there for people. So we've carried on working in our centres, which for the 3 of us is Gloucester. But obviously we've put all the PPE measures in place as well. We have yellow and black tape on the floor, we have hand sanitizer everywhere, and we have guidelines for us to follow, the same as you would in any workplace. But I think the bottom line is, with confidentiality, we can't work from home. But we have been able to be there for everybody all the way through lockdown.
Yeah. The thing that has been impacted by lockdown is the role that I have, which is in terms of outreach. Normally we would be able to be out and about attending events and giving talks face-to-face at schools and colleges, but we haven't been able to do that. So that's why we've been developing sort of alternative ways like these talks until we're able to get back out there again.
And the same with the training, isn't it? The training, as I said, is now online because we haven't been able to do the training in the centre. So things have changed, but we've still managed to keep going.
So there's a final, it's not a question, it's a really lovely comment from Frankie. Thank you, Frankie. I'll read it out and then I think we'll probably come to the end of our session. So Frankie has said at the end, this isn't a question, but my friend has said that Samaritans have been great. Someone told her that self-compassion is not self-indulgence. And I have really seen a transformation in her since this. So just a little good news story for you. That's amazing support. Thank you.
Yeah.
So thank you, Frankie. And thank you all for joining us this evening. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.